For all of us, and especially for our patients, residents, and staff, living through the COVID-19 pandemic has been extraordinarily challenging. But now, with the arrival of highly safe and effective vaccines, we're experiencing something we haven't felt enough of for a very long time, and that is hope. It's hard to overstate the impact the vaccines will have or how amazing it will be to live in a world without constant outbreaks, testing, and visitor restrictions. The vaccines represent the most important step toward putting us back on the road to recovery and will have a huge and cascading impact as we move forward. That's why at Marquis, we have invested so heavily in vaccinating our residents and staff as quickly as possible, because we know that's the key to everything that happens next. Led by our Consanus pharmacy teams, most all of our eligible residents and at least 80% of our staff have received the vaccine, and that number will continue to rise. I can hardly describe my emotions as I've watched our residents and staff step up enthusiastically to be vaccinated. After all we've been through together, they see the light at the end of the tunnel, and I think we all feel the gravity of this moment. Now that the vaccines are changing the game, the big question you'll probably be asking is, how soon can resident life in a Marquis facility get back to some degree of normality? So what I'd like to do is offer a bit of a roadmap of what to expect over the next few months. In thinking about this, I see it kind of like planning a family road trip to Disneyland. You know where you're going and that it's going to be great when you arrive, but you can't predict everything that will happen or the weather along the way or exactly when you'll get there. That's where we're at right now. We know the vaccine is going to make a huge difference and will almost immediately jumpstart the return to better days. Yes, there will be factors beyond our control, but because of Marquis' advanced preparation and aggressive vaccine rollout, we could reach the most important and exciting milestones within 2 to 3 months, well ahead of other senior care providers. The first and most obvious impact of our vaccination program is that the risk of outbreak will be dramatically lowered in Marquis facilities, and in fact, that's already happening. Fewer positive tests mean testing becomes far less frequent, which will lower the stress, raise the staff and resident morale, and improve the quality of life for everyone in the facilities. As I said, we're already seeing a material reduction in positive tests in Marquis facilities in just the first few weeks since vaccination started, and that's very, very exciting. Of course, many scientific unknowns about the vaccines will affect this timeline, including whether vaccinated individuals can still be carriers of COVID-19 and how long the protection lasts. But we expect a continuing significant drop in positive cases, which is why vaccines are the centerpiece of our recovery plan. The next exciting milestone involves group dining and activities. As you know all too well, the loss of these opportunities for personal interaction has contributed mightily to the feelings of isolation our residents have been experiencing since the beginning of the pandemic. If you were to walk into one of our facilities now, you would find the dining rooms and activity rooms very quiet. But as the vaccines work to reduce outbreak risk, it will be exhilarating to watch those spaces come alive again with dining and activities programs. Marquis is on the cutting edge of this, and because we got our vaccinations of residents, patients, and staff done faster and have been the first to see the results of the vaccines, we have been in the position to champion with state and federal agencies for changes in regulations that will reduce resident isolation. It is our highest priority. We anticipate some of the changes for which we've advocated could make it possible that group dining for vaccinated residents could be reinitiated as early as the next 2 months. For many residents, rehab expertise is the reason they chose Marquis. The pandemic hasn't at all affected our patient outcomes, which remain high and industry-leading. But since it began, treatments have mostly had to happen individually, often even in patient rooms, and group therapy wasn't possible. By sometime this spring, probably around the same time as group dining and activities, we expect to be able to once again open our rehab gyms to this highly effective and motivational approach. Nothing has been more difficult for residents and their loved ones than restrictions on in-person visitation. Thanks to the vaccines, I am hopeful that families may actually be able to be reunited in our facilities sometime also in the next 2 months. As I mentioned earlier, our COVID-19 visitation policies are almost completely dependent on state and federal regulation, and Marquis is actively engaged with those agencies to advocate for changes to the guidelines as soon and as safely as possible. In facilities without active COVID-19 cases, we have proposed that visitation permission be given on an individual basis, subject to proof of a resident and family member's vaccination status. Antibody testing could also be a key component of the new policy. Those discussions continue, and we will communicate with you as soon as more information is available. In the meantime, there's good news for residents in Marquis facilities with no active COVID-19 cases or outbreak protocols in place. Outdoor visitation is available with SafeLink, a plexiglass panel that allows face-to-face visits while minimizing the risk of exposure to the virus. I realize this doesn't resolve all the frustration of physical separation, but it does make more fulfilling interactions possible. To find out if a Marquis facility has SafeLink and is permitting visits, you should contact the facility directly. It goes without saying that we want in-person visitation to be opened up the moment it can be done safely. As more people get vaccinated and we all continue to be responsible with mask wearing and social distancing, infection rates will go down and increase the chance it can happen sooner. But for right now, I just wanted to share my optimism that in the fairly near future, window visits and Zoom calls can be replaced by hugs and face-to-face conversations. On a related topic, we know providing transportation for residents to and from appointments outside the facility is on the minds of many family members. To be there personally to offer support and encouragement is so important to a resident's well-being. In determining when this will be possible, over the next month or so, we'll be looking closely at the data following the second doses of vaccines. If current trends continue and facility infection rates are reduced, personal transportation could be allowed on a case-by-case basis by early March for residents and family members who have been vaccinated. Though essential to prevent the spread of COVID-19, all those masks, face protection, and other forms of personal protective equipment Marquis staff are required to wear every day has been a real barrier to the personal interactions that are so important to our residents. No conversation is the same when you can't see someone's face. By the time summer rolls around and positive cases have continued to decline, we believe PPE restrictions will also start to lessen. As a result, communication will improve and the vibrant culture of togetherness and family in our facilities will be revitalized. It won't happen all at once, and like a lot of things, this will be subject to regulatory requirements and local rates of COVID-19 spread and vaccinations. But by August, residents and staff could finally be able to have mask-free conversations and smile at each other once again. These are just a few of the major milestones I expect to see in our facilities as the vaccines help bring this pandemic under control. I cannot predict exactly when each will occur, but I can promise that on the road to recovery, Marquis will be leading the way. This past year has been so trying for our residents and their loved ones, as well as for our staff. To all of you, thanks for your incredible strength, dedication, and patience as we journey together back to the brighter days that are surely ahead.